I was addicted to porn for over a decade. Not casually, addicted. Throughout the most important developmental years of my life. While other guys were learning how to talk to women, I was staring at pixels on a screen. I learned about relationships from my phone. I learned about sex from porn. And it left me miserable. I struggled with women. I had severe body dysmorphia. And I had a constant state of comparison. And a version of myself that I didn't respect. And you want to know the worst part? I didn't even realise how much it was damaging me until I stopped. Now, if porn is something that you struggle with, and having a real flourishing love life is something you actually desire, then I'm going to tell you what quitting porn did to my brain, my confidence and my relationship, because it isn't what I expected. So don't click off, as this might be the most honest thing you hear about it. So I started watching porn from a very young age, around the age of 10, and in the UK that's still in primary school when you're basically a little kid. I was in what we call year 5. But my addiction didn't really start until I joined secondary school. You know, up to that point, it was kind of, you know, you just search up like sexy girls on the internet and you look at it through that way. It was relatively harmless stuff. My addiction really started to kickstart when I moved into secondary school, year 7, where they decided to give us iPads. See, the whole idea was that the iPads would support your learning, you know, so you have access to the internet, and as a result of that, it enables you to learn at a better rate. That was the vision for the iPads. But just like any teenage boy, when they let you take the iPad home, all kinds of crazy stuff ended up happening. Now, I first started to notice negative effects of watching porn around the age of 13, 14. You know, I was sleeping a little bit less. I remember there were so many instances where I'd go to bed at 9, but then because I've got my iPad, I'll be watching YouTube, and then I get bored, and then I'd get horny, and then I'd be watching porn for hours until about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Then I'd go to sleep, and then I'd wake up again about 5:30, 7, and I'd be absolutely knackered. So then that had a bleed-on effect to my workload in school. You know, I would be sleeping in class. It'd impact my general days, my mental health. I ended up struggling with women a little bit more as well. And I often found myself in a state of desperation more often than not. And this is because I ended up objectifying women. I looked at them very lustfully. And here is the part that nobody tells you. This really messes with your ability to be able to interact with women, because women no longer remain individuals. They're no longer their own person. Instead, what happens is they become a vessel for your pleasure. So lust turns you into a really selfish person. And when you look at porn, what you're doing is you're not considering the individual behind that body. You're instead looking just at the physical manifestation of that person, but what you're not paying attention to is who they are, their personal experiences, what they've gone through in life. And this programs your brain to view women in that state of being. And it's one of the most selfish things you can do. So now what happened was I started to talk to women as sex objects rather than people. And this translated into my dating life. I ended up really struggling with women. I became more anxious within myself because I felt unsuccessful in the male hierarchy in school, which led to me retreating to porn as a comfort. So this is really interesting. Porn made it that I was struggling with women, so then I didn't look cool in front of my friends. So then as a result of that, I'd feel bad about myself because I wasn't attracting women. So then I would then go watch porn to make myself feel better, which then fed into the problem, and it just made the problem worse and worse and worse. And this kept me trapped for so many years. I remember there's so many girls that I had crushes on, there's so many girls that I liked, but I could never engage with them properly because I looked at them as tits and arse. I didn't look at them for who they were. I didn't actually care for who they were. And this made me a very isolated individual. I really, really struggled being able to interact with girls. I didn't understand them, I pedestalized them, and I just viewed them as these objects for my own satisfaction. And nobody tells you this. Nobody explains to you how damaging this is as an individual, especially when you're growing up. When you are only viewing women for a sexual lens, no wonder you struggle with women. No wonder you find it hard to talk to the girls that you like, because you're only looking at them through a lens in porn. You're only looking at them as a physical body. So when you come to interacting with women in the real world, you're only seeing a physical body. You don't know how to interact with them. You don't know how they function in the world. And if you don't know this, women function differently to you and I. They view the world through a different way. They're more emotional creatures, whereas we're more physical beings. You don't know this through porn, because all you're doing is you're looking at them, all you're seeing is them getting off, and then you want that for yourself. And it makes you such a selfish person, and it makes you struggle. So when I got my first girlfriend at the age of 16, at this point, my mind was really deep into porn. And this is where it gets really, really dangerous. See, if you're watching porn and you manage to be successful in attracting a girl, it has some dire consequences for your relationship. So I didn't understand what responsibility was in a relationship, because porn didn't teach me that. What porn teaches you is that you can get exactly what you want when you want. And as a result, it ends up making you chase your own gratification rather than strengthening the relationship. So I remember so many instances throughout the relationship with this girl, I was so selfish. I never considered her needs because I was too busy thinking about what I could get from her. And within a relationship, that is not how you function and grow with a woman. When you focus more on yourself, you end up taking for the relationship rather than giving. The whole point of the relationship is that you can contribute to the other person, so that you can grow and experience time together and become better versions of yourself. But when you're watching porn, and when you only view this individual as a vessel for your own satisfaction, it makes it really, really hard to grow. Because what you're going to do is you're only going to be thinking about what you want. Occasionally you'll think about what they want, but it's only in relation to you. So it kind of breeds this sort of narcissistic mentality where it's like, I'm going to keep her happy because of I might get sex from it. And this is really, really damaging, because not only are you going to prevent that person from growing, you're going to end up causing trauma for that person, but you're going to prevent yourself from growing. And I didn't realise this for so long. And, we ended up breaking up a year and a half later. So what ended up happening for me is that I used that energy, and I ended up watching porn more, which strengthened the addiction more, which then made it harder for me to interact with women. And what this caused for me is for me to be I ended up being really lonely as a result of it. And I really, really struggled. I couldn't really interact with women, and the hole just got deeper and deeper, and I was watching weirder and weirder stuff, and I just became this sort of chronically online degenerate where I really struggled with women, but I was so desperate for them. Let me say that again. I was really struggling with women, but I was so desperate for them. And this is where most guys are at. You desperately want a girlfriend. You desperately want the validation from women. You're so desperate for them. But yet they're so far away. You have so much distance from them. This is the problem that so many guys face. They're struggling. They don't know how to overcome it. So, let's fast forward to my current relationship with my girlfriend. And this has impacted me in various ways. So I did end up quitting porn for a little bit before our relationship. But over time, it's found its way back in on a few occasions. Comparison is one of the main things that I struggle with. Obviously, with from porn, you're looking at a hyper palatable kind of image. You're basically looking at the extremes, right? And what that does is that programs your brain. So I struggled a lot sexually. I had a lot of issues in bed, and it ruins the experience because you still carry these selfish things. What I realised a little bit before getting with my girlfriend, and obviously being with my girlfriend now, is what porn does is it creates a gap between you and the best relationship you have possible. Porn cannot coexist alongside a flourishing relationship. And this is what so many guys misunderstand. They think they can watch porn and contribute to a relationship in the best way possible. But let me tell you, man, that is not how it works. If you truly want a really flourishing relationship, which you should, because it's awesome, you should quit porn. Because when you have porn in your life, you are programming yourself to be looking at other women. You're still in the mindset of looking at women through a sexual lens. So what's going to happen is it's going to make it harder for you to be able to interact with women. It's going to make you more selfish. It's going to make you more insecure. It's going to make you more awkward. It's going to make you more weird. And the most critical thing is that when you continue to watch porn, you basically make it impossible for you to be able to experience true love. Now, this should have impacted you quite a lot, because true love is something that you should be striving for. To be able to learn and sit deeply with another person and to be able to experience life alongside them is one of the most awesome experiences in the world. But when you have porn, you can't do that, because porn becomes that thing that you have to put all your energy into. It makes you not think about the other person. It makes you view that other person in a way that sexually gratifies you. And I had this realization. I remember this one time I was watching some like Overwatch animated porn, right? And I finished, and I just looked at the screen. I was looking at what I was watching, and I had the realization that I would never, ever, ever find love or get a girlfriend so long as I continue to have this in my life. And that was one of the most profound realizations I've had. If you truly want to have a significant relationship, you need to quit porn. You need to be ruthless with it. There's no, oh, I'll watch it every now and then. If you want to have the best relationship possible, you cannot have it in your life. So if we look at my relationship now, I don't watch porn. We don't even have sex for that matter, because we're waiting till marriage. And what it allows you to do, when you don't look at porn, you start to look at women for for who they really are. You realise that yes, women are attractive. As a man, you're going to look at women, you're going to find them attractive, but you realise they are more than just the way they look. So your body is a vessel, and a woman's body is their vessel. Instead of viewing them for what that vessel looks like, you start comprehending and being able to understand their emotions, their history, their trauma, their desires, what makes them happy, who they are. And that is what matters in a relationship. It's not just about the physical beings. It's about the emotional and spiritual connection that you have with another person. When you have porn in the mix, what you do is you create this polyamorous relationship where porn is the other person in the relationship, but what it does is it demands all your attention, and it strips you of your ability to be able to spiritually connect with another person and emotionally connect with another person. And this basically sets the relationship up for failure, because what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to give 100% to this relationship. And what will happen is, if you do end up getting in a relationship, if you're capable of attracting women, is you'll end up having a relationship which dies out, because the porn will take more and more away from you, and you'll be able to give less and less to the relationship. And when this happens, that's what happens. That's when you see people in miserable marriages. That's what happens when you see, I remember this one time, we were in Southwold, my girlfriend and I, and we went to this pub, and on one side of the bar was this man, and right on the other end of the bar was his wife. They couldn't have been sitting further away. Is that the kind of relationship you want? And I guarantee that man watches porn. That woman no longer wants to have sex with that man. That woman no longer wants to have intimacy with that man. Could you imagine being in a relationship where your wife is just tolerating you, where she has the thought that I've married the wrong man? Could you imagine how awful that is? That's even if you get to the point where you can attract women, because attracting women becomes hard if you're deep into watching porn. The main shift of quitting porn comes from understanding what's at stake. There's no tactic. It's not about counting your nofap streak. It's not about doing some crazy shit. It's about removing the bridges to porn. So if you look at things that make you think sexually, remove it. Unfollow the sexy girls on Instagram. Delete Reddit. Delete Twitter. Stop looking at porn. Because once you do this, you'll allow yourself to be able to live and flourish. So if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Porn is the one thing that's going to stop you from having a true intimate relationship. If you want that, then it's best you remove it from your life, and you be absolutely brutal and ruthless with it. Completely eliminate it. Completely get rid of anything that leads you towards it. And in doing so, you will then create the possibility of you having a true intimate relationship. If you found this video helpful, leave a subscribe. It's a win-win for both of us. God bless, and I'll see you in the next one.